clustering algorithm. So these are the data points which is given in the question. We are going to find the new centroids for this problem. So this is the data set. The data sets are 5, 6, 7, 15, 16, 17, 28, 30 and 32. So we are going to find the clustering. So first we are going to the question itself. They are given the cluster function A is equal to. So I am going to take the initial cluster from the given data sets. The C1 value I am going to assume that the C1 value will be n 5 and the C2 value will be n 28. Now we are going to find the distance for the both the C1 as well as C2. So first we are going to create the table. The tables are the first one and the first column I am going to write what are the data points. So data points are just given in the question. So next we are going to calculate the distance for the first centroid C1 that is equal to 5 and next we are going to find the distance for the C2 that is 28 and finally we are going to form which cluster we are going to assign. The first one is the given data set is 5 and the distance for C1 value will be 5. So we are going to subtract it and get an answer as 0. And again the next value will be 6. While subtracting I get an answer as 1. With this we are going to subtract it to the first centroid that is the C1 is equal to 5. And the next third one will be 7. So I am going to subtract the 5 from the 7 and get an answer as 2. Similarly we are going to do for the C2 also. So while subtracting 28 from each of the cluster, each of the data points, that I get an answer as 23, 22 and 21. So these are the first 3 points. And again we are going to do the same for the remaining points also. So while calculating remaining points, I am going to subtract the same from the C1 from the data points. While subtracting all the values from 5, I get an answer as 10, 11, 12, 23, 25 and 27. Similarly, we are going to calculate the distance for the second centroid also. The second centroid will be in 28. While subtracting from the data points, I get an answer as 13, 12, 11, 0, 2 and 4. So these are the calculation, that is the distance calculation from the centroid C1 as well as C2. So now we are going to form the which clusters are going to assign. So we are going to compare the both value. So while comparison, we are going to choose the smallest value. While comparing 0 and 23, 0 will be a smallest term. If 0 will be a smallest term, the cluster which is assigned is a C1. So the answer will be a C2. Similarly, for the second one, 1 and 22, the smallest value will be on 1. So 1 is from the cluster C1, so the assigned value will be also in C1. So likewise, we are going to assign for the next cases. In all the cases, up to 60 the cases will be in C1 will be the smallest value. So I am assigned C1 as for the cluster assigned points. So next we are going to compare these two terms. While comparing 12 and 11, I get an answer as the 11 as the smallest value. So the term 11 is from the cluster C2. So I am going to assign C2 as for the 17th value. And again the next one 23 and 0. 0 will be a smallest term. So while comparing I get an answer that is this C2 will be in the cluster for this next one. So remaining also I am going to by comparing I am going to choose the smallest one as the cluster points. Likewise we are going to assign the cluster for the all the data sets which is given in the question. So now we are going to clustering all the terms. So the new cluster term is we are going to combine all the C1 values. So here the first 5 terms are we are assigned the C1 value. The first 5 data sets value are 5, 6, 7 and 15, 16. So these are the C1 value we assigned from the previous table. And the next we are going to assign the C2 value. So the C2 value which is given which is found in the table, the data sets are 17, 28, 30 and 32. So these are the C2 values. So these are the new clusters which we found from the above table. So the C1 clusters are 5, 6, 7, 15 and 16 and the C2 clusters are 17, 28, 30 and 32. So these two are the two clusters. So next we are going to find the centroids for these clusters. So for calculating centroids we are going to find the average for the clusters. So while taking average in the cluster C1 there are 5 points. So I am going to add all those 5 points and divide it by 5. So while dividing I get an answer as 9.2. This is the new centroid, that is the new C1 value which will be a 9.8. Similarly we are going to calculate for the C2 also. In the C2 there are 4 points are given. So the 4 points I am going to take average for these 4 points. So taking average I am adding this all 4 points and divide it by 4 and I get an answer as 26.75. So this is the next centroid value. So the C2 value will be at 26.75. So these are the two centroids. The C1 value will be at 9.8 and C2 value will be at 26.5. So these are the two centroids. So on the whole the K-means cluster algorithm will be at the data points are given and initially I am going to take two centroids, that is C1 is equal to 5 and C2 is equal equal to 28. So we are taking any points from the given data sets, and I am taking here as C1 as 5 and C2 as 28. Next we are going to find the table value. So in the table first we are going to assign what are the data sets. Next we are going to find the distance value. So the distance means we are going to subtract the value, that is C1 and C2, from the data points. So while subtracting I am getting some answers for the both C1 as well as C2. Next we are going to assign the cluster. While assigning the cluster I am going to find, comparing these two values, I am going to take the smallest value, and the smallest value the cluster will be an assigned for that points. So in the while assigning I am going to clustering all those terms. The C1 terms will be at 5, 6, 7, 15 and 16, and while clustering all the C2 terms means the data sets will be at 17, 20, 30 and 32. So these are the two clusters. From those two clusters I am going to find the new centroids. For the centroids